No, I don't take shit. I don't know for the things wanna play tough, I wanna hate this, although sure. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate, every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patent it, being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, getting slow, getting fast, off the ropes, I get gas, think I'm all paying back, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness, hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior, inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior, get off of me, this ain't no humble brag, I want you to hear words, you can say them back, I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been through hell, I never got anyone's help, I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't like the consequence, something incompetent, mental health is confidence, stream mental modestness, somehow you say the thing, that's what you gotta take away. I could play a million mind things, but it's something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go. Make yourself unstoppable. Think you're irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off on my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I'm gonna make it to the top, taking off, and knowing I got to make it. I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I never separate, just a vacant. Ain't done with the taking. Now that I've been through hell, I never got anyone's help, I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
All right, well, happy Thursday evening, or maybe it's Friday evening. I don't know. So I did, I was thinking it was Friday today. I don't know why. So anyway, but it is Thursday, the 23rd. And welcome everybody. Let me say hi in the chat to everybody. I gotta mute my screen. So we'll just do a sound check to see if everybody can hear me. I'll do that first. Friday morning there? Well, how does Friday morning look? We're not there yet, so is it safe to come into Friday morning? We're going back into a heat wave. It's been just beautiful here. It's been the 70s. But actually, you know what? It was actually almost 40 degree low the other day. It was crazy. But anyway, yeah, temperature got kind of cool, but now we're going back up again. So anyway, I'll be hunkering down again. So I am pulling up my chat on the screen. We're just going to have an open chat, whatever you guys want to talk about. Let me know if you wanted some jacked up Bible stories, or if you want to talk about Whitaker's, whatever my wheelhouses are. That's my wheelhouse. Biblical stuff, wheelhouse. Whitaker's, wheelhouse. Let's see. Antiques and reselling and liquidating people's homes, wheelhouse. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. Flea markets, wheelhouse. carnivals and stuff like that wheelhouse. In fact, this weekend we're going to go again to a different carnival this time. And it might even be a county fair. I don't know. So I'll see when I get there. I'm going to go with some friends. Or actually, I'm going to one of my friends. Oh, no, Alicia, you're riding more, took a crap. Well, I hope it ain't too bad of a crap. Because, yeah, unless the engine blew on it, you could still get a new engine for it. But anyway, do you know what's wrong with it? I always want to get a second riding lawnmower. Because when mine goes, it's there's no plan B except another lawnmower, another rider. I mean, I have done it by push mowing by hand, but in the front yard, but and some of the side, but yeah. Anyway, welcome tonight to Up Who. I'm sorry, I was going to say Up Who, Up Yours, and Who Cares. Good evening to you. Florida Life in the Sun, welcome. Well, thank you for anybody that hits the like button. Just let me know if the sound is okay. Alicia, good to see you tonight. Dee, welcome. There's some old school people in here tonight. Old school. Good to see you, Dee. I hope you're doing well. I hope it's hot where you are. Yeah, let's see. Kathleen, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Mary Kopp, good to see you tonight. Welcome. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Am I missing anybody? Catwoman, good evening to you too. There we go. Anne, good to see you tonight. Welcome to Anne. Let's see. T-Bro, good to see you tonight. Hope you and your wife are doing well. It is buffering. Is it really buffering? No, tell me no. Maddest Hatter, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Welcome to the Maddest Hatter, who is just a tad more angrier than the Mad Hatter. Florida Life in the Sun is dancing on fire. Let's see. Marshmallow, good evening to you. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope everybody is. Hope you all had a high vibration day. It's a very old teaching about having a good mood, a high vibration, and things happen. But yeah, anything anybody wants to talk about, anything in my wheelhouse, anything else, I don't care. It's not even in my wheelhouse. Whatever you want to talk about, doesn't matter to me. I could play clips too because I got endless clips. I got to take some time to make some videos. I'm just kind of every day something comes up. So, but yeah, I'd like to make some videos. Nazreen, good to see you tonight. In a few minutes, I'll be watching from the TV. Time to leave for the air. Oh wow! Well, have a wonderful and safe trip, Nazreen. I wish you the most blessed time you've ever had, and everyone around you. Yeah, I wish you a great trip. You're happy just listening? Well, we're happy just having you here, as always. And I'll be giving updates on the spider if he does appear. I've seen him lately. A couple different ones, actually. Yeah, I do have a lot to mow. It takes a long time just on a rider. Takes me like 2 6-hour days. Or no, not 6 hours. I go a few hours and then when the tank is low, I take a break, let the mower cool down, and then I go a couple more hours. Then got other stuff to do. So then I do that 2 days in a row and it's usually done. So 2 for 6, about 8 hours. There's a lot to cut, but I love it. One of my very favorite things in the whole world is cutting grass on my riding lawnmower. I dream about it all winter long. I love it. It's my zen in my garden. So yeah, good to see everybody tonight. Oops. My dog is drinking like a horse from a trough right now, so that will hopefully not carry on for too long. You've had it in the shop twice since April. Why? Is it kill or what? Doesn't start? I just got a new battery on mine. It lasted 8 years. I bought that thing new after Sears showroom floor. Right, and then I found out they closed like a month later. But they're still like online and stuff. You can still contact them online, and they still sell parts. Sears Craftsman is. I got a lot of Sears Craftsman stuff. It's fine. That just the building closed. I think the brick and mortar store is closed. I don't know. One Saturday night, we was discussing haunting spirits. So then I stumbled across Ed and Lorraine Warren documentary. What's your thoughts on them? I don't remember who they are. Sounds familiar. And I will have to look at that, Marshmallow. I'll have to look at that. Yeah, there's certain houses and certain buildings and certain areas, around the world, including the United States, certain places that are more haunted than others. So I just saw I think it said the most haunted house in the United States. And I thought, how'd they gauge that? But anyway, yeah. So anyway, I like that stuff. And usually, I'll have to check it. Let me write it down, okay? Warren sounds familiar. Hold on a second. Grab my pen. Let's see. So the name was Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'll check it out. I don't know. I like that stuff. You remember me mowing by hand? Yes, right? Because when mine breaks down, and you know what? The guy is so good. I bring mine to a hardware store, which is about a half an hour away. And the guy is so good, he's backed up like 6 weeks all the time. And so if my mower breaks, I have to wait 6 weeks to get into him. And by 6 weeks, it's like up to my waist, you know what I mean? My grass grows fast, so. Anyway, I need a backup mower. I'll find a used one on Facebook Marketplace or something. Yeah, a lot to mow. I couldn't imagine. Yeah, I at least make sure my front yard looks good and kind of out by the road. Well, good evening to Susan says so much. Running down late. Well, we haven't really gotten anything except some greetings and well wishes. So welcome to Susan says so much. I hope you had a wonderful day. Not really late. I think it's called fashionably late because it's not really nothing been happening yet. Not buffering. Good. We are doing okay. Thanks for asking. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, we think it's a pleasure for you to be here too. We always enjoy your company, as everybody. And we're glad you're doing okay there. Working on it every day. Blades speed up and down. Maybe the brand new belt or bearings or clutch. Bad spindle. Yeah. Yeah. The blades speed up and down. Yeah, you should see if the belt is slipping or something. Just loosen it up and see if it's all worn out. All shiny from slipping. My kittens are doing well, thank you. They are getting on my nerves, but yeah, they're okay. I'm trying to think of ways that I can get them home, but up here nobody nobody wants kittens, so I'm thinking about maybe driving to a big city and, I don't know, meeting up with somebody that wants them or something. I don't know. Belt tension good. Yeah, right? The same thing I thought too, the belt slipping. That will mean bell ringing with the dog. Drinking. Yeah, and Mr. Spider, yeah, it's all. Everything my live streams have always been. Dogs drinking behind me, dogs ringing the bell, and a spider on the screen. On my, it's so cool too, because on the security cam on the night, on the infrared, the thing glows. It's just really kind of weird looking. Dug up a dandelion with the spoon. Wow. That is right, Florida. Florida says, realtors don't have to tell you about a haunted house or deaths, a home you want to buy. I know that because I worked with realtors for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. But I'll tell you what, the lady that I work for is very successful. I mean, really. She sells the mansions, you know what I mean? And she would tell people, you know what I mean? Because she felt a guilty conscience if she didn't tell anybody. She just casually mentioned it, you know what I mean? But yeah, you don't have to. Don't have to. Well, hey, Mad Hatter, good to see you tonight. I saw your sister in here earlier. Red Frog, good to see you. Welcome to Red Frog. Yeah, and I don't know if that's every state, but I know it's in Minnesota. Now, some places, I don't know, it's weird. A friend of mine was murdered in his home, and he lived in a mobile home park. And their rule was if there was, somebody got offed in one of them mobile homes, it had to be that mobile home had to be removed out of the park. So after he died, me and his sister had to figure out how to get that sold and get it off the property. It was crazy. Never heard of a rule like that, but there was. Anyway, TNT, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Yes. All I have is banana and fudge bomb pops. Banana and fudge, that's an interesting combination. Kittens, never always there. Yeah. You mean they're never not here? Yeah, I do have a cat house outside. I kept thinking it was Friday all day too. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I went to the Dollar General today and I was kind of spending a lot of money, and I thought, dang, if I waited till tomorrow, which is Saturday, I could have $10 off because I got a coupon for Saturdays. Anything over $40, you get $10 off. That crap. If it was tomorrow, I thought, yeah, I'm definitely not coming back again tomorrow. So I'll bite the $10. And then yeah, so I was a little disappointed. And you know what? I took a picture of today. I took a picture of eggs that were on sale at a gas station that they have a lot of groceries and stuff. But they have everything, bakery items, they got everything. It's a gas station on steroids. And but they had eggs, two for $1. 1 dozen large eggs, 2 dozen for $1. I haven't took a picture of it, but yeah. So crazy from during COVID, they went up to $6 a dozen, and now they're 50 cents a dozen. And yeah, so anyway, I was kind of boycotting eggs when they were too high, and really contemplating getting chickens. Yeah, it felt like Friday. Susan, you've been warned about eating the entire box of bomb pops. Yeah, that's what my son always wanted at the store, bomb pops. And he always wanted them fruit pops too, or whatever they are. What mosquitoes in here? Yeah, you thought it was Friday too? I don't know why it felt like Friday. Anyway, I don't have to worry about not waiting another day for the coupon, so I feel so bad now. Mm. So, I think I caught up on comments. I need to put it on live chat though, because I got it on top chat. So hopefully I said hi to everybody. Wait a second. Yeah, so as I said in my preview video, I got plenty of clips to keep going through. Pick any subject and I got the clips. Otherwise you talk about whatever you want to talk about. We were buying eggs from our friend as long as you bought the cartons back, got a discount through COVID too. Oh really? That's nice. That's way better to buy fresh eggs like that. Yeah. What a difference. Yeah, because I don't know how long. I heard how old the eggs were, and by the time that you buy them in the store, they're old. But anyway, nothing like fresh eggs. You're lucky if you have somebody. Well, actually, there's people around here who sell fresh eggs, but anyway. So, yep, I still haven't seen Patrick going live. If I'm not mistaken. Oh, we got some a brouhaha. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Hey. Don't need the little kittens going crazy there. They're getting to where they're fighting really rough and biting each other in the neck. Look out. Anyway. So, yeah. Which chickens don't you keep? I don't have any chickens right now. I mean, I've never had chickens. I've studied about chickens. I just don't know if I want to pull the trigger. Figuratively and literally. I was at a garage sale last year. The lady said I could have some chicks and I think a rooster or something. And I said, no, I don't have any cage or anything ready, or any pen for it. Yeah, I had to pass on it, but yeah. And we got a place in one of the towns around here that sells chicken or baby chicks. I don't know, some farm supply place. Florida says, not sure if you wanted to talk about homosexual in Bible, but I'd like to at some point. If you don't, that's okay. I know nothing about that subject. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about some misinformation that people repeat. That's not true. In fact, I'll tell you, yeah, you want to talk about that? Anybody want to talk about homosexuality in the Bible and how people have things twisted? And here's the problem is people just keep repeating what they heard, and I can prove about Sodom and Gomorrah. If anybody, all right, good night, Susan. Good night, Maddest Hatter. Yeah, if anybody wants to talk about that, it's a good subject. All right, I'll tell you about it. Let me see, I'm gonna need my phone. Here, you gotta move, buddy. Hey, please. Can you move? Come on. Thank you. I'm sorry. Go back later. It's too big to have under my feet here. All right, yeah, because I gotta get my phone and I'll show you. Well, if you want to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, because how many people have heard about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Have you heard of that? And then how people say that that's, I just don't know about the subject yet. Okay, so we'll go over what everybody uses as the story about how God hates homosexuals and he burned them all up in Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, because that's not right. That's not true, and I'm going to debunk that right now. Actually, let me pull something up. All right, so well, first of all, I'll just tell you about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And then I'll tell you why it's not about homosexuals, right? Yeah, I think I got I got half a tumbler. I didn't really re-up on my ice water here, but I think I got enough to get through the Sodom and Gomorrah. So in the Old Testament, there's a story about Sodom and Gomorrah. And let me see what chapter it is. Chapter and verse of Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, Genesis 18 and 19. Okay, like the whole book of Genesis is just like one story after the other. Like most of the stories you heard of, right? It's like an action movie, right? Like one thing after the next. So one of the things that's in there is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's in Genesis chapter 18 and 19. And what it is, it's and so a lot of people have heard of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? The forefathers of the Jewish people, the Israelites, and all that. So Abraham, remember, he never had children until he was 100 years old, and he married his wife / sister, and they had a baby actually. So anyway, so his whole life he didn't have a son, but he was close to his son. I mean, he was close to his brother's son, whose name was Lot, L-O-T, and they're basically living in the countryside and stuff. And at one point, Lot and his family and his clan, they all moved to the land of like Sodom and Gomorrah. And is that the Dead Sea? I can't remember. I think I'm sure it is. It's probably the Dead Sea. Am I right? Anyway, so the Dead Sea, I'm pretty sure it is, because the Dead Sea, they call it that because not even a piece of bacteria can grow in it because of the salt, right? And that comes into play. So I'm pretty sure because of the saltiness of it. I think it's the Dead Sea. So you got Sodom, Gomorrah, and 3 other cities, right? And they were very sinful cities, bad cities. And God didn't like the cities because they were full of sin and horrible people. And but anyway, so Abraham stayed in the country, and Lot and his clan or whatever, his family, moved to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I think specifically Sodom, if I remember right. Anyway, and you can look on the map; those cities are still there. And so they moved there, and then so God one day comes to Abraham, and he tells him that he says, I don't like those cities. I'm gonna destroy them. I'm gonna firebomb them, right? And Abraham's like, oh no, I can't do that. My nephew's there. It was his nephew, right? Your brother's kid or whatever. No, my nephew's there and my family's there. Anyway, there's good people there. And God's like, nah, they're all wicked. And then Abraham's, no. So Abraham starts to bargain with God. And Abraham says something like, okay, God, if you could find if there's, please spare the city if you can find, and I don't know if I had the numbers exact right, but I'm just going to say example. He says something like, if you could find like 50 righteous people, would you spare the city? God goes, yeah, for 50 righteous people, I'll spare the city. And he goes, okay, how about if there's 40 righteous people? And God's like, yeah, I'll do 40. And then he's like, okay, what if there's 20 righteous people? God's like, yeah, okay. And then he goes, okay, how about if there's like 10 righteous people or whatever? Would you still spare the city? God's like, okay. And they made the deal. So then the angels went and they went to check out, because for some reason, God can't check it out himself. So he sends in these two angels in there to check out the cities, right? And so that these two angels, and in the Bible, angels are always men. All right. There's never, because listen, only men matter in the Bible. Okay. Women are like donkeys and Harley Davidsons. They're just property, right? So anyway, so angels are always men. So the men come into the city, right? So they're coming into, I'm pretty sure it's Sodom. It comes to the gates of Sodom, and there's two of them, and they are very, very handsome, beautiful looking, but they look like people, right? They look like regular men. And then they come in there, and Lot was at the gate, right? Because cities are always surrounded by a fence and a wall and a gate to let people in and out, so you don't get, then people don't get jacked with. So anyway, but sometimes in order to pass through, you have to go on their road. But anyway, so the angels go to the gate, and Lot's like, this is a pretty rough place. Maybe you guys, should be careful or something like that. Can't really remember exactly. But Lot ends up inviting these two angels to his house. And he says, yeah, well, you can stay at my house, right? So Lot brings the two handsome-looking angels to the house. And that city was horrible because they had, and this is why God hated that city and the other cities, is because they had a habit of beating up the tourists and beating them and robbing them and whatever. And so anyway, he said, yeah, you better come to my house. So anyway, he goes there, and anyway, the angels say, yeah, you need to get out of Sodom Gomorrah. You need to flee. And so Lot had a wife in the house, two daughters, and their fiancés or something like that. But somehow they were virgins, right? So anyway, so there's two guys, two girls, and the mom and dad. And anyway, so the angels come in and they're like, yeah, you need to leave. And the guys didn't believe it. They're like, nah, we ain't leaving. He's bluffing or whatever. So then, but Lot believed it. And anyway, pretty soon there's people outside Lot's house, and it's a really angry crowd, and they're pounding on the door, and they're trying to get their way into the house. And they said, bring them men out so we can have our way with them. You know what I mean? Well, in the Bible it says, so we can know them, right? Which, if it says we can know them, it means have sex with them, right? So he said, they're like screaming, get them guys out here so we can have our way with them, right? Because that was their way of humiliating first they rob them, they beat them, and then they have their way with them, right? So anyway, they're pounding and trying to make their way into the door, and they're holding the door back, and the angel's like, yeah, we got to get out of here. And anyway, they're like, bring them guys out here, bring them two out so we can have a way with them. Anyway, and Lot, this is a weird story because there's a story just like this in another book in the Old Testament, but it goes a different direction. But in this story, like the same thing happens in a different story, but it just was different. Anyway, but in this story, Lot says, as they're pounding, demanding these two men so they can, humiliate them. And that's what it was about. It was a humiliation ritual. It's like in prison, right? It's just like prison. It's war. And in war, they do it too. They do it in prison, they do it in war. That's what they do. Okay. There's stories in the Bible about when they would conquer a city, and when they conquered the city, they would the losers would get stripped naked, and they would be, molested, and then they would be sent home with no clothes on, so everybody would know what happened to them. And those were the losers in the war, and to this day that some of that stuff happens. I mean, but anyway, so that's kind of a thing. It doesn't mean that they're gay. So anyway, and one of the things that they're not gay is because the first thing Lot does is say, all right, no, leave the men alone. And he says something like, I have 2 virgin daughters I'll give to you. He's going to hand over his daughters to this angry crowd that, whatever. Anyway, and he wouldn't hand it over the 2 virgin daughters if they were gay, because they wouldn't want them. Anyway, he goes, no, just leave the guys alone. Let me have those. I'll send out my 2 virgin daughters how about that? And they're like, no. And then they start trying to push the way in the door, right? So they're pushing the door open, and all of a sudden the angels or something or God or whatever, a big bright light gets shined, and it blinds all the people outside the house, and they can't see, and they're groping for the door, and they can't see what's going on. And then Lot and his family were able to escape. So Lot and his wife and the 2 daughters escaped, okay? And the angel said, now just keep running and running and running. Don't look back. Because if you look back, you will turn into a pillar of salt. And so they were running and running, running. And you can see where that site would be. At the bottom of the Dead Sea there, you'll see it anyway. So they're running around, they get to this big cliff, and they're, anyway, so the wife couldn't help herself. Well, anyway, as they get out of the city far enough, God starts raining down these sulfur balls, these fireballs, right? He starts firebombing. He starts firebombing all 5 cities. Bam, bam. And it was these chunks that God was throwing down of sulfur were and it's like pure sulfur, right? Like the head of a match. But these were 75-pound chunks flying on fire, and they were blasting everybody and hitting everybody and burning everybody. But Lot and his wife and the 2 daughters were off afar, and they could hear it and everything, and they were running. But the wife couldn't help herself, and she stopped and turned around and looked to see what was, all the fire and stuff. And bam, she turned into a pillar of salt. So then, they're like, dang, what I mean? So then the dad and the 2 daughters keep going, right? And so they keep going, and they end up in this cave. And this story is so weird. Anyway, so they end up in this cave, and the whole city's destroyed, right? So then, oh my gosh, the story is so weird. So then, so they're in this cave, right? And they're the 2 daughters and the dad, the old man, right? And so the daughters say, oh man, we're the last people on earth, because they thought maybe the whole world got destroyed. They thought the whole world just got destroyed. So they thought like they were the sole survivors, right? And they're like, oh man, how are we gonna like get pregnant and have babies and stuff now? And they're like, hey, I know, let's get our daddy drunk, and then you can do it with them, and then we'll get them drunk again, and I'll do it with them, and then we'll have babies and stuff, and we could start the world over, whatever their plan was. And if I remember right, because I remember pointing this out, like, wait a minute, this don't make sense. So they left to go buy some liquor. Now, wait a minute. If there's nobody left, who's running the liquor store? Anyway, if I remember right, they went to go buy liquor or something like that, wine. But I thought, wait, why don't you just get pregnant by the guy running the liquor store? Anyway, I thought everybody was supposed to be dead. Wait, what is that not wrong? It's not wrong anyway. So then they go back and they their plan is to, both get pregnant by the dad. So they get the dad all drunk, and then the first sister goes in and does the deed, and then she ends up pregnant. Well, anyway, so first she goes in, does the deed with the daddy when he gets really, really drunk, and for some reason he whatever. And then the next night they said, "Okay, now it's your turn." And the other sister went in, and they got the dad really drunk again. And then the other sister went in, and she did the deed. You know what I mean? And then they both ended up pregnant. You know what I mean? And they both ended up pregnant. And anyway, so that is where you get Moab from. Moab, Moab, because one of the daughters had their son was named Moab, and that's where you get Moab. Anyway, so anyway, my point is about that. So and that's where you get the Moabites. Okay, you heard of the Moabites in the Bible? They're from Moab. That's from Sodom and Gomorrah. It's good. Anyway, so therefore, no, it was not about homosexuality. It was about the way that they treated the travelers, because they were the Israelites, right? And the Israelites wandered the wilderness for 40 years. They were brought into captivity in Egypt for 420 years or something, some other amount of time. And so they did a lot of traveling on foot, and God always, was anyway. So they should know what it's like to be a traveler and to have, be attacked or not be let through the city. Because a lot of times this is a desert or whatever, mountains or whatever it is, and over there. And so a lot of times there's just one way through an area. And if they don't let you through, you're screwed. Anyway, so it was, the hospitality. Okay. So I'm going to show you, because there's two places in the Bible, and I can't remember if it's First and Second Kings. I can't remember. I'm going to bring it up. There's two places in the Old Testament where they talk about the sins. What were the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah? And there's nothing about homosexuality. I'll tell you what it is. What I just told you what it is. It's about doing this to travelers, okay? And the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah were overeating, gluttony, laziness, selfishness, and all that crap. So here, a lot of what you see going on today. I was thinking, sins of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Old Testament. Let's see, let me find it. All right, Ezekiel. Okay, here it is. So here is explicit listed sins. Okay, so in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49, explicitly defines the guilt of Sodom as pride. Okay, prideful. All right, haughtiness, thinking you're better than everybody, and a prosperous ease, which means you just were lazy, right? Because you're got money and you're lazy. Anyway, so that's pride and arrogance in Ezekiel 16:49. These are the sins. This is why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and and remind me, there's another place in the book of Jude. Okay, no, don't let me forget that, because I just remember that's another place that tells. So anyway, neglecting the vulnerable. Here's another sin. The inhabitants failed to aid the poor and the needy despite living in abundance. Okay. Here's another one. And this talks about the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis chapter 19. Inhospitality and violence. Genesis 19, all right, details a mob. This is the Sodom and Gomorrah. Details a mob surrounding Lot's house, demanding to violently assault his angelic visitors, reflecting a total breakdown of ancient hospitality and social safety. Okay, and these people, they should have known better. And this is what happens when you have too much money and you don't give a crap about anybody. The next one, the sin, specific sins, general wickedness. Other prophetic books like Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel broadly associate the cities with adultery, lies, strengthening the hands of evildoers, and general detestable behavior. All right. Anything there about homosexuals? Nope. Oh, and I'm going to show you something in Jude. Jude is the second to the last chapter, right before Revelation. And Jude. Why do I keep saying June? Jude. So right there, okay. It wasn't a down homosexuals, okay. So anyway, he say it out loud, good to see it. So in the book of Jude, he quotes, actually, Jude, some people say is Jesus is his Jesus brother. There's Jesus, James, Jude, John. I can't remember. But anyway, so Jude, it's only one chapter long. It's right for Revelation. And Jude quotes the book of Enoch. And but anyway, and they're talking, but he specifically says the sins of Sodom. I could pull it up, but you could read. It's only one chapter long, the book of Jude. And but anyway, he talks about the sins of Sodom was that they wanted to, because it was forbidden for angels to, intermingle with humans, right? And so, that was another sin that they did, is that they wanted to do that to an angel. Some people say they didn't know they were angels because they looked like regular humans, but never said that they didn't know that they're angels. And matter of fact, Jude, who quotes Enoch, and but Jude says that they wanted to enjoy strange flesh, and strange flesh in the Bible means like spirits and stuff like that. Because at some point in the book of Enoch, the angels, a third of the angels, I think it was, left heaven. They rebelled. Imagine that, being in heaven. And they rebelled. But anyway, as you can see, it's nothing about homosexuals. Now, there's other stuff in the Bible about it, but people need to stop saying that that's what it was, because it's not. I just told you, showed you. Look it up. Anyway, see, that's a weird story. So that's where the Moabites come from. Moab. If you believe the story, That's right. Up yours. He knows. The Nephilim were the so the angels rebelled in heaven because they're tired of saying holy, holy, holy all day long. No, just kidding. I'm making that part up, that last part, because it says that's pretty much all you do in heaven. It's saying holy, 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 and worship God. Anyway, but anyway, and I even did a live stream one time saying some people won't like it in heaven. And so, because what are you going to do? Sing holy, holy, holy all the time? All you do is worship one person, and I don't know. Some people ain't going to like it. Well, I can name most people ain't going to like it. Anyway, people are like, what? Why wouldn't you like it in heaven? Is that what you want to do the rest of the journey? One thing? Anyway. So, anyway, for the whatever reasons, well, I'll tell you what reason. So in the book of Enoch or whatever, and there's parts in the Bible. And I think, if I remember right, it's in Enoch 6 or something. It's very close to Genesis, because Enoch basically puts Genesis chapter 6 under a microscope. And that's what a lot of part of book of Enoch is. But something like Enoch 6 or something like that. Because in Genesis 6:6, that's when God said, I wish I wouldn't have made man, and he decided to flood the earth. And in Enoch 6:6 or something very close to that. They decided to, you know what? Let's get out of here. Let's get out of heaven. We're going to go down to earth and we're going to meet with these women and we're going to mate with them. And supposedly that's where the giants came from, the Nephilim and all that. So they came down and they did that. And anyway, so that was a big sin. And that's why Jude and other books will say about the sin of intermingling with strange flesh. So it's always a male angel intermingling, doing the dirty with a human female. You know what I mean? And then for some reason, human females can get pregnant. Like, wait a minute. So they have viable sperm. I don't believe that. Something's wrong with that story. Anyway, I am Pippi the Long Cycle. Well, good to see you tonight, Pippi. Hope to see you. Good to see you. I'm trying to see if I missed anybody. Anyway, I'm sorry. Oh, sent Uncle Eric for 440 Jews. Thank you, Tina. Anyway, I'm trying to. Because I don't know where I left off on the comments. I'm trying to scroll back. I hope the insane guy is listening. Well, if there's any insane people, a shout out to all the insane people and the sane people. Is this where I left off? I'm trying to scroll back, guys. I'm trying to do two things at once. Oh, Patrick's big gun. I didn't see you come in. That is funny. You guys, I must have really missed a lot of comments. I'm trying to scroll too. So anyway, if you have any questions, if I got anything wrong, I don't think so. And here's another thing, you guys, about that Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so for back in, I can't remember. Grace might remember. I don't think she's here tonight. But back in, gosh, what year was it? I'd say 2017 or 18. I was still living. Well, I was still living in my old house, so my last house. So it was quite a while ago. This thing came out where, in fact, I'm going to pull it up, okay? Because I'm going to debunk something, you guys. I'm going to debunk something because I fell for this when I was a evangelical Christian and all that stuff. I believed everything, and then always looking for proof and evidence. And so people like, hey, we found Lot's wife. Okay, some of you may have heard about this. So people are saying, hey, over at the Dead Sea there, they found Lot's wife, and she's standing at the cliff, and she is a pillar of salt. And so I even, when it first broke, excuse me, I can't remember what year, but anyway, I'm going to show you and I'm going to debunk this, okay? Because I even believed it. But then I did my homework and due diligence. All right, so Lot's wife. So I'm going to type in Lot's wife. So, the tourists, you can go down. So when you're on the Israel tour, if you go over to Jerusalem and do the tour and all that, you can go over to Sodom Gomorrah. The site's on there. It's really far out of the way, but there's other things there, but whatever. It's not like on the beaten path, but you can go there, and there's been a lot of people go here. I'm just going to show you. So there's two different sites, just like always. There's two. This is fun. So it got out that they found Lot's wife, and I'm going to show you. I should just leave this up. All right. So yeah, I'm going to show you real quick. Let me turn the camera on. Let's see if hopefully this. All right. So they said, "Oh, look, here's Lot's wife." Hold on. Wrong one. Okay. So like, oh man, there's Lot's wife. Look, she's looking over Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Now, Lot's wife was never salt, and why that highlights the greatness of Abraham. Okay. So that's supposed to be Lot's wife with some, basket on her head, and she's looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, so everybody fell for it, right? But here's the problem. And if you go out there in person, this thing here is about 30 feet tall, or 20 feet tall, or 40 feet tall. Anyway, this thing is huge. A real person would only come up to the knees, so debunked. And then they had another site that it might be. So anyway, and then they also thought they had proof that these. So anyway, there's two sites, and don't fall for it. If you go there in person, the thing is like 40 feet tall, and it's just, you guys, it's just rock formation. And I'm going to tell you, this is actually next to the Dead Sea, okay? And well, here, I'll show you. And the Dead Sea is like 99.99% salt. People can go there and float on top. If you go there, you just float. But you have to float on your back, because if you flip over on your face, you can drown. But there's the Dead Sea, you see that? And that's all salt. So everything around the Dead Sea is pure salt. And you just can imagine the corrosion of everything. And in fact, I'll just show you like an example. Salt on the Dead Sea. So everything around there is corroded like that. What you're seeing, Lot's wife, that's just a rock formation. A rock formation. So yeah, from far away, it might look like a lady with something on her head, but it's not. And it's not even salt. I think it's rock. Whatever. But there's all these salt formations around there. So that's, anyway, salt on Dead Sea. So yeah, if you go there, there's a place for you to swim, right? And if you swim, let me get it. Yeah, so probably, let's see, I'll just pull up like swimming, because if you go there, like in the pillars, so there's like these concrete pillars that you can swim up to, and anyway, it's crystallized and it's sharp. I'll just show you. It's kind of like ice. I mean, strange salt formations from the Dead Sea. Like there's so much salt, not even a piece of bacteria can grow in it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing can grow in that. But look, it gets these weird formations, you know what I mean? Look, is that Lot's wife? Is that Lot's wife? Is that, there she is. It's like, where's Waldo? No, that ain't it. And then they, like people that went there would go up to, they would go up to the, like the dirt walls and stuff. And there's these big chunks of like sulfur, pure sulfur. And they're like, oh, it's got to be, these are the sulfur balls that God threw. No, because there was no burning, nothing burned in that area. Those were, in fact, I can show you, sulfur balls. So they thought, oh, that, because people are trying to always look for proof, that like some type of concrete proof, evidence, some physical evidence. Let's see. The people want physical evidence, some proof that, corresponds with the Bible. And so anyway, so here, so people were using this too. So they said this is brimstone, okay? Let me show you. And if you take a lighter and you light this stuff, you guys, it burns so hot. It's like my gas stove. Look. I mean, it burns, right? See, Sodom and Gomorrah, sulfur balls, brimstone, because you guys, brimstone is just means sulfur. Okay, so sulfur, brimstone, same thing. And it's yellow and it looks like this. It looks like that. See the brimstone? Brimstone means sulfur. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. So they say, oh, that's evidence sulfur. Sulfur's evidence of the brimstone, because it in the Bible it says it rained down fire and brimstone. And brimstone is sulfur, and sulfur, you imagine. And so they would. I think they weighed it in talons or something like that. But I converted it and found out there were 75-pound chunks. 75 pounds. So yeah, there would be big dents and burn marks everywhere, but there ain't a city that didn't burn. Oh, see, somebody might be onto it. There's people who have debunked it. The city that didn't burn, see? There's a lot of people who debunked it. It's like that. So it's in the wall. You can take a knife and you can pick that little ball out of there. And it's these things. These things are in the wall. I mean, and yeah, I mean, look. The thing's like a doggone gas torch. You know what I mean? The burn's hot as hell. You know? So anyway, wife, yeah, see, so they coincided with Sodom Gomorrah, Lot's wife, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so I hope that answers your question on Sodom Gomorrah, sir. And I'm so far behind on comments. I don't have a Tumblr big enough for that. 2.0, that probably ends up to be in normal speed. Sometimes I talk slow. Well, hello, Stan, the man with the plan. I like the name. Good evening to you too. Yeah, so there's that. So yeah, that is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's where you get the Moabites from. The daughter that got the dad all drunk and did the dirty, and somehow he doesn't remember, or did he? Anyway. Yeah, so I don't know where I left off. If there's any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know, because I don't know where I'm at. Let's see. Here's where I left off. You keep cream leg bars? Yes. I actually got like a half tumbler. I didn't re-up. I should have, but I didn't. Anyway, so that's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And no, it's not about homosexuals. It tells you straight up. They were fat. They were lazy. They were gluttons. They treated everybody like crap, and they, did nasty things to people that were just trying to pass through and travel. And they always robbed people too, even though they had all the money they needed. They were just doing it like for sport. You know what I mean? Horrible, horrible people, and people who thought they were better than everybody, and they were, let's say, haughty and all that. I bought corn on the cob a couple weeks ago for $1 a dozen. Crazy. It was really good. Went back to more following week. It was 4 years for the wow. I haven't seen $1 a dozen for decades. That's a good deal. That's a good farmer deal. Hey, I'd be fine. Good to see you tonight. Welcome. It's like old times, Bible waffle. Old times, we'll remember. Yeah, that's right. I could stay up all night telling Bible stories. Yeah. Yeah. And then I see Stan the man with the plan. He came in 15 minutes late 2 times. Alicia says hi to Stan. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, that is, if you want to know anything else, any other Bible stories, they're all kind of jacked up, in my opinion. My humble opinion. Yeah, I think they're all kind of got something weird going on. A lot weird going on. Patrick's big. Patrick's big guns. I'm sorry, Patrick's big gun. I am going to sit back and listen while I drive. Well, we wish you a safe trip. Thanks for bringing us along on the ride. Patrick, be careful, drive safe. Yes, do drive safe. We definitely want you to have a wonderful trip wherever you're headed. Have you seen anything in the Bible about what's after the Ice Age with the world ending by water or fire? Or another Ice Age happened. What's that? Well, there's nothing in the Bible about an Ice Age. So the only thing is really is, so a legend goes, I guess. So the story in the Bible is that God flooded the earth, right? He flooded every man, woman, child, baby, puppy, kitten, every animal, everything alive. And but for some reason, one of the birds, a dove and a raven, survived enough to bring him an olive branch. Anyway, but anyway, so God kind of, after everybody drowned and stuff, because the water kept raising for 40 days, 40 nights, until it got to the whole world was flooded until God didn't even stop till the water was like a couple feet over the highest mountain in the world, right? According to this story. This story is actually kind of taken from Gilgamesh, you know what I mean? Wink, wink. But anyway, according to the Bible's version, it was written after Gilgamesh. It's pretty much the same story as Gilgamesh. But anyway, so in the Bible, I guess God felt kind of bad because everybody drowned and stuff. Everybody but 8 people, right? It was Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives. So there's mom, dad, 3 sons, and 3 wives. So there's 8 people that survived the flood. Every single other person drowned. And so God felt a little bit bad. And he says, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. Next time I destroy everybody, it won't be with water. It will be with fire. Oh, that is so sweet. So there's that, but never with ice. Yeah. Well, because listen, they're in the desert, so they probably don't even know what ice is. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so there's no ice stories in the Bible. Well, thank you, up yours. Yeah. So anyway, that's the jacked up Bible story tonight, Sodom and Gomorrah. And wait, the daughters did what now? Thank you, Florida. I was always told you can be broke, homeless, but richest in knowledge. Yeah, that's right. Done last study. I just studied today too. I love watching biblical scholars and stuff. They just are brilliant. And I love listening to rabbis because rabbis are really good. They know their scriptures. I mean, anyway, so I listen to that a couple hours a day. I listen to something every day. I learn new stuff. Just when you think you know it all, right? You can't really know it all because until you really study the peripherals of around the Bible, like the customs and the laws and the geography and all that stuff. Debo, you can be rich in many things that doesn't cost a thing. That's right. Remember on Little House on the Prairie, and they didn't have money for sugar or nothing, and the Olsons told them they can't charge anymore, and they're really snotty to the Ingalls, and Charles felt really bad. They didn't have no money, but anyway, I remember somebody somebody, I don't know if it was Half Pint, somebody said, I'm the richest girl in Walnut Grove or something like. We might not have money, but I'm the richest girl in Walnut Grove. And you know how many times I've said that in my life? I'm like, I many times when I had no money or whatever, I'd always say, yeah, I don't have no money, but I'm the richest girl in Walnut Grove. It's like, have what matters, right? I may have no money, but I'm the richest girl in Walnut Grove. That's a good attitude to have. You know what I mean? Because that itself will bring in abundance and bring money in. If you bum out and have a bad attitude about money, it has a bad effect. It repels money out of your life. Yeah. Hey, near east, far west. I like that. Good to see you tonight. Welcome. Yeah, if there's any other Bible stories you want to hear or you're curious about, let me know. I will wing it. Well, thank you, Florida Life in the Sun. Sent 5 The Curious Soul Deep Study gift memberships. Wow, that's very, very kind and very generous of you, Florida Life. That's very, very kind. Very, very generous. Thank you so much. So, Haley, it's just Mark, Hockey Mom, Stacy, all received a membership. Thank you so much. TNT. In Williamstown, Kentucky, there is life-size Noah's Ark. Yes. So, and that's, I could tell you about Noah's Ark. How much you want to know? Yeah, I can tell you about Noah's Ark. But that is really cool because my son and I almost went there, but my son backed out on me at the last minute, and I didn't want to go alone. But yeah, so they opened up that I think that's the one that people are going to, right? The one that opened like 5 or 10 years ago. And that's supposed to be a life-size replica because in the Bible, in Genesis, right? So Noah, right? So Noah is what was he? I think it was like 400 years old when God told him to build an ark, right? And if I remember right, I think it was about 400 years old because I think when he got done with the ark, he was 500 years old, if I remember right. But really, he's really old, and God says, yeah, you got to build an ark, right? And Noah's, they're in the desert, right? And he says, yeah, because there's going to be a flood. And so God says, so, here's how I want it. I want it this many, and I don't know if they said cubits or what their measurements, but I want this many feet wide, this many feet long, this many feet tall, with these port windows and all these windows, and I want it made out of gopher wood. Now, I think I heard one scholar say that they don't have gopher wood there, but I don't know if they do or not. But for some reason, he picked gopher wood. And that's why you'll hear a joke, a Bible joke is, how come, or what, I can't remember how it goes. Something like, why did Noah miss the boat? Because God told him to go for wood, or something like that. I can't remember the joke. I probably just screwed it up. But anyway, so it's made out of gopher wood, and it's this long, and this is before the flood, because remember Genesis 6:6, he decides that humans suck. I wish I wouldn't have made them. I'm going to wipe these suckers up. And the weird thing is, he found just like, oh my goodness, like, is anybody paying attention when they write this Bible? Because, okay, so think about this. Just like the story of Lot, right, with Sodom Gomorrah, just like the story of that. So Okay, so the most righteous person in Sodom or Sodom Gomorrah, the most righteous person was Lot. Wait a minute. Lot, the one who offered to throw his two virgin daughters to a bloodthirsty pack of wolves outside. Um, Men who wanted to have their way with somebody. So yeah, he offers up his daughter. No wonder they got him in trouble. Anyway, so he's the righteous guy, the one that does that, and then somehow does the dirty and gets both his daughters pregnant. He's the righteous one. Oh my goodness. Okay, just like that, God picks Noah because he's a righteous one, right? And so Noah and his wife and 3 sons and 3 daughters, they're going to, um, build the ark according to God's measurement. So when they built that thing in Williamstown, Kentucky, the ark replica, I forgot what they called it. What's that thing called? Noah's Ark Experience or something like that. And you can pay, I think it's $40, if I remember it. I know a few people that went there, and I think it was $40. You can go in there and a tour, and there's overpriced food, named after Bible stuff. But anyway, they had dinosaurs in there, which was weird. Like, what the hell? Dinosaurs. Anyway, that wasn't, what page was that on? You know what I mean? Anyway, so there's two versions of this story. Just like in many Genesis, there's many of the Genesis stories have two versions. They're called doublets. And you can learn about doublets on YouTube. There is Yale University has a biblical scholar, this lady who tells you about the doublets. And that means that there's two different versions of the story in the Bible, on two different versions of one story in the Bible. It's called a doublet. Sometimes there's a triplet, but there's a lot of doublets. Abraham and his sister / wife, there's two versions of that story, different stories. But there's two different stories of what God told Noah when he was going to flood the earth, right? So God says, yeah, like, I'm going to drown these people. So start building an ark. I know you're 400 years old. Your kids are probably in their hundreds too. But anyway, so, because we need you to, repopulate the earth and stuff. So anyway, the two versions of this story, and you can tell because the two versions that are usually put in the Bible, you have to read it like 100 times or study it to really catch on what's going on. But you'll see that there's two versions. Because you'll think, why are they repeating this story? But anyway, with details that are switched. So one story says that God tells him, okay, once the ark is done, you have to have a drawbridge that drops down and the animals go up. Just like the pictures that you see, that's how God says specifically how to do it. The windows, the double decker, he tells you how to do it in the stalls and all that. So then it's time to gather the animals, right? So then God says, all right, Noah, in one story, he says, all right, time to load up. It's getting go time. Ark is finished. And he's supposed to cover the outside with pitch, right? This tarry substance from trees or something. I don't know, pitch. So, like paint the outside with this pitch, this waterproofing, right? And so once it gets all done, God's like, okay, it's go time. So what you need to do, one story says, go gather the animals 2 by 2, right? Or actually God gathers them. Because somehow he's getting the penguins from Antarctica. He's getting giraffes from down in Africa. So it might take a minute, but don't worry how it's done. It's just done. Anyway, so he says, we're going to gather them 2 by 2 and load them up, right? And so they he loads them up 2 by 2. Now there is a different version, also side by side in Genesis, and it's a slightly different version. In this version, it says, God tells him, because there's a northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and they both want their story in the Bible. So instead of picking one or the other, whoever put the Bible together, the Tanakh, the Old Testament, they put them both in. And just, I guess, both people didn't notice. But anyway, so one part, one of the story about the 2x2, and that's the one most people have heard. If you buy a children's Noah's Ark thing, you're going to see the animals are 2x2. But in a different story, they say a different story, that God came and said, "Okay, Noah." And this is a story you'll never hear because they don't really want you to know about clean and unclean food, right? So, and I try to eat clean. You know what I mean? Now I have backslidden on the bacon, but other than that, I pretty much eat kosher. But anyway, and there's a reason. So, in the other version that you'll read in the same book, is God tells Noah to gather the animals, 2 of each kind of unclean animals, and 7 pairs of clean animals. And that way you'll have something to eat, right? You can eat the clean animals down to there's 2 each, right? And Noah must have said, dang, how long are we going to be on this thing? But anyway, so I have many times over the years listened to story after story after story how this would be really, lack of a better word, mathematically possible, because it would be physically impossible, because people who run a zoo, okay, you need like two or three full-time zookeepers to take care of just the two elephants, right? And the elephants eat like elephants, right? They eat a crap load of food every single day, and they all poop. Then all these animals would be eating and pooping. There would not be enough food you could hold on that ship for all them animals. But yeah, so the other version that you'll never hear, but is right in there, right next to it, is the 2x2 unclean and 7x7 clean, and that way they can eat some along the way. But anyway, so yeah, he floods the. Oh, and then here's another one. So yeah, right. So Noah is the righteous one that God's gonna save, right? So Noah, so they go through the flood, and there's 2 different versions of that too. One says it was 40 days, 40 nights. The other one says something else. I can't remember the dates, but it's different. But nonetheless, every last thing, the water goes, a few feet above the highest mountain. Then God shuts off these. It wasn't just rain clouds. These were windows. God opened the windows in heaven and poured the water out, right? And not just cloud sprinkling. He opened the windows in heaven and he poured it out and just flooded the earth. And once every last thing was dead, except for Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and 3 daughters, then they started God shut off the rain, and then they waited for to recede. And in one version, it said it was 6 months, I think, that it took to recede. Anyway, finally, they kept looking every day, and then one day, and I think there's 2, for some reason, there's a raven that comes, and there's another part where a dove, I think it was a dove. Anyway, a bird comes with a leaf in its mouth, an olive branch. And that way, so they know that the birds have touched land, right? Now, I don't know where the birds have been for 6 months, but somehow the bird touched land, and now it landed on the boat, and they're like, oh, okay, so we're starting to hit land. So then supposedly it touches down, it lands in Turkey, right? Turkey. And so it's another thing that's been debunked. Now, a lot of people believe that. I can show you. So everybody thinks, oh, look, they found Noah's Ark. Look, it's shaped just like the Ark. It's the same size and blah, blah, blah. No, it isn't. That wasn't Noah's Ark. Oh, and they got guards on it 24 hours a day with rifles and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? The Turkey government or whatever. I don't even know. But no. So Noah's Ark, I'll show you. So they think, oh, look, here's proof. here's proof that here's proof that the Bible's true. You know, that people are always looking for proof, physical proof. Again, debunked. Okay, so so everybody thought, and the guy who I'll just show you. This is where they found it's Mount Ararat. Is it Mount? I think it's Mount Ararat. Or wait, can't remember. Here it is. Potential site of Noah's Ark. Oh, look. 29. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's the Ark. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. In fact, there. Now, this is very important because see that Noah Ark research, CNN. This has been debunked. You see that heat imaging right there. That helped debunk. Well, 100 things debunked this. Because I'll tell you what. The guy who actually led this BS was what was the guy's name? Oh, here I got it. You guys know who it is. What was that guy's name? Here, let me look it up. I can't remember. I can't believe I can't think of the guy's name. Who discovered Noah's Ark? What's the guy's name? Anyway, the guy that tried to prove it was real was he wasn't even a scientist. Turns out the guy was he was like an anesthesia nurse, and he had no tools, no nothing. And anyway, then if you back out of here, if you see how they always have this in one frame like that, it's always one frame. They don't show you their surrounding areas. But if you go on Google Maps, guess what? These things are everywhere. This is the mountain formations. All right. There's 100 of these around the area, but they'll never show that. They'll never show it. If you go on this over in Turkey, is it Mount Ararat? I think it said in the Bible, I think it said it rested on Mount Ararat, but I might be wrong. Here, where? Here, let me see. My phone don't work that good. Dang it, my phone's locked up. But anyway, nonetheless, it says, well, it's modern day Turkey, I think, but let's see. Where did the Bible say that Noah's Ark ended up? Mount Ararat, exactly. It says, according to the Bible, Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. All right. So anyway, debunked. So yeah. Oh, Wyatt. That's who it is. Wyatt. What's that guy's name? Anyway, the Wyatt guy turned out to be. There he is, right here, Ron Wyatt. Yeah, he turned out to be a phony. He wasn't even a scientist or nothing. He was totally. Yeah, and if you look on Google Maps, these things are all over the place. There's another one; they're all over. So anyway, people need to stop that. But so God shuts off the water valve. He shuts the windows of heaven, right? Stops flood. Everybody's dead. You can shut it off. So anyway, it supposedly it comes to rest finally. After months, it comes to rest on Mount Ararat. And so Noah and his wife, 3 sons and 3 daughters, they get out, and the first thing that Noah does, as the only righteous man that's worthy of living, right? First thing Noah does is plants a vineyard so he can get drunk on wine. So he plants a vineyard. And he gathers the grapes and he makes wine and he gets really, really drunk. And there's the story where and this is just so weird. They're all weird, you guys. So the story is my thing screwing up? Anyway, So the story goes that first thing Noah did when they, landed the ship is, well, the animals got off, obviously. Like I said, it would have been impossible to keep up with the animal poop and all that. But anyway, nonetheless. Well, hey, Grace, good to see you tonight. Welcome. So anyway, so first thing Noah does is plants a vineyard, and he gets rip-roaring drunk. And Noah ends up naked on his bed, right? And so one of the sons, I think it was Shem, because Noah's three sons was Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Okay, now these are the descendants of the only living humans of Noah's Ark. And the sons was Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And so anyway, I think it was Shem. I can't remember which one, but I think it was Shem that was laughing at the dad being naked, right? They're saying, "Oh, look at our dad. He's naked and he's passed out." And the other two sons are like, "Whoa, this ain't good." You know what I mean? So we're not supposed to see our dad naked because that's in the Bible. Now, the Bible hadn't been written, but anyway, God frowns on that. So you're not supposed to see your dad naked or whatever. Now, some people take the term nakedness, his nakedness, to mean that the son saw the dad doing the nasty with the mom. But that's been debunked by scholars. Anyway, it is what it is. It is exactly what it says it is. He was drunk, he was naked, he was laying on the bed. And the one son was laughing at him. And so the other two sons are like, "Oh, this ain't good." So they put a towel over their head. Both of them put towels over their head. And they went into the room backwards. And they threw the towels over their dad to cover up his nakedness. And then they left, right? And then, I don't know, when Noah ends up coming to or whatever, he finds out what happens. And he's so mad that he cursed the one that laughed at him. I can't remember if it was Shem or whoever, but he cursed that man. He cursed his grandson. He's like, he didn't even curse the son. He cursed the grandson. He said, "I'm cursing your firstborn son." I'm pretty sure it was. Naked is a meat suit devoid of clothes. Right. And so, wait a minute. God said your sons will never pay for the sins of the father. But you know how many times in the Bible that the sons are and the grandsons are paying for what their father did? And somehow we're all paying for what Adam and Eve did in the garden. Like, wait a minute, I thought we weren't supposed to do this anymore. Anyway, so yeah, so he gets up and he's all pissed off and he curses his firstborn grandson. Like, wait, what? Anyway. Hey, Ed Sandy, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Didn't I don't know. I don't know, Tina. So anyway, that was a weird story. And they're all weird, if you ask me. They all got some kind of like a perverted twist. Seriously. And we're just supposed to ignore it. Anyway. Welcome to Grace. Hope you're doing well. Welcome. I don't know. I probably missed it. I missed a whole bunch of comments. So anyway, that's the story of Noah's Ark. Like I said, logistically or whatever, it's impossible. Ask anybody who runs a zoo what it takes to take care of a couple elephants, a couple giraffes, shoveling the poop, shoveling the food, the mounts that they ate, and then all them animals. Anyway. Drugs, yes, and Insanity, yes. It does say in the Bible that, I think it's in the book of Revelation, at the very end, I think it says, "And no drunkards will inherit the earth," I think. "And no drunkards shall inherit the earth." I think that's what it says. Or no drunkards shall enter the kingdom of heaven. I think that's what it said. But don't worry, drinkers. I don't think that's what they go by. Let's see. Drunkenness is a represent overindulge in any kind of whatever your obsession is. Yeah, drunkenness, because drunkenness means you've something has made you lose your mind. Because remember, you people say you can be drunk on fame, you can be drunk on wealth. You know what I mean? You hear it all the time. Oh, he was drunk on the fame. You know what I mean? You can be drunk on anything. You know, doesn't necessarily mean to be alcohol. Yeah. Noah's Ark man went to the moon. No, absolutely not. Nobody can go to the moon because the moon is actually a gassy substance. I've actually seen, and you can check it out if you got a good telescope. You can actually see the clouds going behind the moon. You can see right through it. Yep. And if you believe the Bible, it says in the Genesis at the beginning, God made the heaven and the earth, but he made the sun for the daylight and the moon for the nightlight. They're lights, they're gases. Yeah. Well, thank you, Florida. Yes, the kingdom of God is within. It is within us. You have to learn about that. Kathy Lady, did them Bible people really get old, or them count as birthday different? No, supposedly. No, a year is a year is a year is a year. There's 365 days in a year. We could chop it up into 6 months, 6 60-day months. We could chop it into 24 months that have 15 days. You chop it up any way you want, but it's still going to be 365 days. 365 days of moon cycles and sun cycles, and that will ever be the same. So whatever we call it, because our calendar has changed over thousands of years. We're on the Gregorian calendar now from Pope Gregory. The Catholics are the one that changed the Bible. I mean, well, they do that too. That was like a slip, but they do that too. The Catholics are the ones who make the calendar. So right now they're on the Pope Gregory calendar called the Gregorian calendar. That's one that we have right now. Before that, we were on the Julian calendar, which was Pope Julian, I think his name was. And then before that, remember, then there's a Hebrew calendar. But it all ends up, there's so many cycles of moon, and it's exactly the same every year. So you can name it what you want. You can name the months and change it. Like I said, these months, the months are made up from Greek gods. I think they're Greek gods. I can't remember if they're Egyptian gods. I think they're Greek gods. Days of the week are also made up of like Saturn and different Greek gods. Hey, Caleb! Hey, Caleb! Get off there. Yeah, the moon is an luminary. That's right. California sober, 420 all day my way. There you go. You got it, Mary. I'm an alcoholic and sober 26 years now. Yep. Congratulations, Mary. Yeah. Alcohol makes people lose their mind. You know, but there's a lot of people who, like my parents, they would come home from work and have a drink after dinner. You know what I mean? And on weekends, they would host parties at our house and stuff. But, you know, so there's nothing really. There's a lot of guys that come home from work and have a beer or two. You know what I mean? To unwind after work. Nothing wrong with that either. It's just drunkenness. Like I said, you can get drunk off anything. You know, still no bell, Mrs. Right? No. No, they just ate like 5 minutes before I came on here. I just got done feeding them. Yeah, that's right, Florida. When 1969 they could go to the moon, but now they lost the directions and the instructions how to get there, so we can't get there now. Hey, did you guys ever see when because the astronauts are getting the kickback from all this BS? Because you guys hate to break it to you, but there never was a moon landing. But and by the way, did anybody notice that when there was only landlines, that somehow Richard Nixon, I think it was able to call the astronauts on a cell phone? Caleb is my dog. You know what Caleb means in Hebrew? It means dog. Or loyal friend. Yeah, they lost the technology. That's right. So anyway, it was a Buzz Aldrin. It's one of them that's still around. There's many clips of him, and the little girl. One clip, there's a little girl, and she says, "How come we haven't been back to the moon?" And he looks guilty as F, and he goes, "'Cause, well, we never been there." And the little girl looked really confused. And it was a Buzz Aldrin. I can't remember, but the one that's alive. People are pressuring because it's obvious it was fake, right? And then one guy that Buzz Aldrin, was it him? I can't remember which one, but he was getting out of a car and he was going into some building, and some guy said, "Hey, why don't you just admit it? It was all fake." And the astronaut turned and punched the dude right in the face. And then another one, there was a guy that went to an interview with the dude, and he kind of halfway through the interview flipped the script and stopped with the nice play and said, "Yeah, why don't you admit everybody it was all bullshit?" So anyway, it really got to this astronaut, and he punched that dude. Yes, Nixon was, yeah, and they called the astronauts on a cell phone. You can't get it. Listen, I can't even go behind my pole barn and get a signal, right? But somehow they can go up to the moon and still have a clear signal with the president on a cell phone that didn't even exist. Lady, all right, a second. So yeah, and you know what? I remember that July. I can't remember what day it was. July 26th. I can't remember the moon launch. 1969. It was July something. And I remember I was down in the basement. It was always cool down in our basement. And we were watching the council TV. It was like the new thing. And we were watching the moon landing. My parents weren't even home, I don't think. But my brother and sisters were. And we were, I don't know what they were doing. But I was watching the moon landing, which I thought was a moon landing. And like for most of my life, I'm thinking, man, I'm so lucky that I was like able to watch it live. And then thinking, wait a minute, how is it live? And how is the president calling them on a cell phone? I mean, but yeah, so I always thought, oh man, it's so cool. But no, NASA, never a straight answer. Yep, the deceiver. It is Apollyon, and actually, you're Apollo, right? Apollo 19 or whatever it was. And guess what? In the Book of Revelation, it warns against something bad called Apollyon, which because Apollo is a Greek god. It's a Greek god, Apollo. I mean, he was a rock star god back then. You know what I mean? So it's all named after that. So Apollo is named after a Greek god. It's NASA. You know. Thank you all. I lost more than my mind and never want to stop. Well, I'm so glad that you did. Kathy Lady, why can't I live to be old like bio people? Because I don't know. I think it's made up, to be honest, because a human body can't last that long. Okay, so Adam and Eve ended up to live like 700 years, right? But so they had Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel, so they had a replacement kid called Seth, and Seth meant replacement. So once the one son killed the other, then they had Seth, the replacement. And so the bloodline to that goes down to Enoch and all that. Enoch was the seventh from Adam, but I think Enoch's dad or his grandpa was Methuselah, and Methuselah was the oldest living person. And Methuselah lived to be like 970 something years old. He was the oldest person in the Bible. 970, and he died the week before the flood started. Interesting, huh? I think it was Methuselah, if I remember right. But yeah, so supposedly they were living 7, 8, 900, and then supposedly after the flood, because remember Noah was like 400 or 500 years old when he started building the ark. Took about 100 years to build it, and so he was like 600 when he got in the ark, and so they're old, right? But after the flood, then the people went down to normal ages, like 100. I think some people maybe lived like 120, but after the flood, then all of a sudden people lived way less. So that's why. Because I think it's people have always lived this old. I think average, average life of a human could be like around 100, right? Give or take. But you wouldn't want to live, because imagine what your body, when you get older, you'll see, but the older you get, the worse your body is. So there's no way a body could last hundreds of years. There's just no way. Your knees would wear out. Even the skinniest people, your joints would wear out. Your organs wear out. Your heart wears out. I just don't see it. Yes, it was a border collie, or he is a border collie. Start counting days as years and you can live to be that old. Yes, and as a matter of fact, Enoch, when Enoch was taken up, Enoch did not die. They said Enoch did not taste death. And Enoch was 365. Enoch, I think, if I remember right, Enoch lived to be 365 years old, 1 year for each day. And when he was taken up to heaven, and he never tasted death. So Enoch was caught up like in a whirlwind or something, got sucked up to heaven, and he's one of the, I thought there was two. I thought Elijah. I thought there was another one, but for sure Enoch was one of the very only, or one and maybe two, people that never died, just went straight from earth up to heaven. That was Enoch. Have a drink, maybe holidays or anniversary, been sober from alcohol, or 20 years, yeah. Yeah, if you have a problem, if you had a bad problem with it, I wouldn't try drinking again, but just find something else can be a vice or something that you don't have to suffer your health over, you know what I mean? Something healthier. I don't believe that they went to the moon. I believe they were gassed. Yeah, it was a big joke. Nixon was president when I was born. Really? Yeah, I remember Nixon being president, and I remember him getting in trouble. And politics was way different back then. It's like, so when I grew up, people didn't talk about politics. It just wasn't a thing. They've got it now so divided. It's like racially divided. It's politically divided. It's any division they can, because divide and conquer is the motto of the people that run this world. And so, religion is a way to divide and conquer. Men, women, old people, young people, blacks, whites. I mean, they've come up with everything. But politics is a big division. There's not that long ago, a man shot his daughter to death over an argument over Trump. Because they had an argument over Trump, and I think the dad shot the daughter and killed her or something. Anyway, they're arguing over Trump because it's just like, oh gosh, they're all on the same side. But anyway, but yeah, I remember that. So when I was growing up, it was way different. Like, I don't even people discuss Democrats and Republicans. The only time there'd be anything political was around election time. Like every 4 years when the president got elected, you'd see a couple yards maybe have a sign, elect Nixon, elect whoever. We had Herbert Humphrey, I think. Our hometown guy ran for president. But you've seen the signs maybe in a few yards, and then after the election, it was over. Everybody accepted who was president, and it was never brought up again. It is what it is. I mean, now it's just like, oh my gosh, give it a rest. And that's exactly what they want. They want everybody fighting with each other. As long as you're busy fighting with each other, they can do what they want. You know what they said even back in what was it, Greece, or back in the Roman days? They said the king would say, "Give them bread and circuses, okay? Give them food and give them entertainment, and you can do what you want with these people." That's what he said. Was that Nero? Can't remember. That's thousands of years ago. That's what the king would say. Give them bread and circuses, and we can do anything we want to them. Just keep feeding them food and giving them entertainment. You can do what you want with these people. And that's going on today. You guys were speaking of Mary Hartman the other day. Yeah, I was maybe 12 or 13 and loved her show, but had to wait till midnight to watch it for this just popped from her. Yeah, me too, Mary. I was very young too, and I used to stay up way past my bedtime. I would watch Mary Hartman. It was late. I would watch the Johnny Carson show. Then after Johnny Carson, I'd watch Mary Hartman. I would watch, I think Alfred Hitchcock was on. There was a few late nights, and I used to watch that show, Larry King and the other guy, Tom Hartman. Yeah, or what was his name? Tom, I can't remember. But yeah, the good shows were on at night. I have to keep it down low so my parents didn't hear me being up too late. Grace Elvis has been ramming my outside AC heat unit. I swear he's a bulldozer. Your turtle? And soap. Yeah, soap. Yeah, Mary Hartman. That was a weird show. And sometimes I'd watch Monty Python Flying Circus. That's when late night was awesome, right? It was. That's one of the good shows it was on. Alfred Hitchcock, all them good shows. Yeah. Yep, it was good. Yeah. Florida is where Gopherwood is located. Yes. I don't think, you can Google it, but I don't think the Middle East over there, I don't think they have Gopherwood. I don't. And I think is in the United States, if I remember right. But so I don't know where God wants them to get the Gopherwood shipped in from. And then cover it with pitch. I think inside and out, I think you had to do. I can't remember. But you're supposed to cover it with pitch so it floats and it's watertight. Yeah. Just remember, Kathy, TV went off after that. Yeah, that's right. I think it was about 1 o'clock a.m. Different. And then you'd have to switch it to another channel because they maybe went another half hour, another hour. Yeah, it did the national anthem. And you know what? During the national anthem, did you guys know that there was subliminal messages in the national anthem? You know when they used to have the flag and they did the national anthem and then it would sign out? And like you'd wake up to, the snow on the TV. You used to watch Wonder Years? Yeah, I like that show. My kids liked it too. Married with Children, yeah. You have a Mary Hartman DVD set? Really? Good for you. I didn't even know they had that. Well, they probably have everything on DVD now, huh? Monty Python, yeah, I used to watch that. It was a weird humor. Made me just kind of wonder things. Florida, unless you got lucky and caught a Canadian station. NBC, CB, yeah, it's all it was. Yep. You had 4 stations. The only 3 that were really good, and then PBS was Sesame Street, Electric Company, and stuff like that during the day. And at night, it was Monty Python and other weird stuff. Mary Cop, when I lived overseas, I did get other channels, but not here in the U.S. Yeah, once the TV signed off, some of them were on later than others, so you could flip it to another channel until they sign off. You know what I mean? They didn't have 25. And then they had news on in the morning, but mostly the 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock news. You know what I mean? That was about it. You got a newspaper delivered in the morning. I had a paper out. Well, hey, Italian girl, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. What were the subliminal messages? Oh, here, I'll show you. Let me get my phone. It's something like submit to your government or something. I'm not kidding here. I mean, oh shit. What happened to my phone? Yeah, I'll pull it up on my thing here. I think it was submit to your government. Or maybe it said consume things. Hey, let me look it up. Subliminal. Let's see. Messages in oh yeah. Remember they would have the national anthem. Oh, say can you see? And then subliminal messages. Okay, now of course the government doesn't want you to know, but here it says they're saying nothing to see here. Let's see. I'll find it. Let me see. Let me see. It's just like at the movie theaters too. You know what I mean? At the movie theaters, they would have the popcorn and the soda pop. You know, flash subliminally between frame to frame. Let's see. And now listen, they call it programming for a reason, okay? Because they're programming you. That's not an accident. Just pay attention to the words. It's programming, right? They call it program for a reason. Let's see. All right, urban legend. It's not an urban legend, guys. Of course, they're going to try to debunk it on Google because the government owns Google. General panic. All right. I have to search a different site, probably. Wait, hold on a second. I think it said consume. I think it said consume and obey government or something like that. Wait a second. Sorry about that. Let's see. Now they're going to call it a hoax because, of course, they're not going to admit it. It's just like they made everybody crazy when they said that there was UFOs, right? Remember that Barney and his wife that got abducted or some crap? I don't believe that story. But anyway, anybody that believed in UFOs in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, you're crazy, right? 2000. But now the government is telling you, okay, there are UFOs. They're not apologizing to anybody, but now they're saying, oh, okay, we admit there was UFOs all along. Everybody got called crazy for no reason and unfairly. But we're admitting it now. And not only are we admitting it, but we're going to actually add another branch of the military called, Grace, what's it called? The Alien Force? What is it called? Trump, what is it? Alien Defense Force? You got the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You got Coast Guard, and now you got the UFO fighters or whatever they called. What is it? The one that Trump. Oh, yeah. And by the way, you guys, if you say, "Well, why would they fake Why would NASA fake anything?" Yeah. Let's just think for a second. Okay, how much do you think the government is giving NASA every day? Huh? Yeah, let's look it up. Let's see if this amount of money is enough to fool everybody and take all of our money. Okay, I think they spend $1 billion a day. Hold on a second on NASA. Hold on a second. Let me get the figure. Okay, so let's just ask Google. How much does NASA cost each year? $24 billion a year. That's how much the government gives NASA. Is $24 billion a year enough to lie to everybody? Yes or no? Yeah, it is. I say, well, my uncle worked at NASA. Yeah, he probably made like rubber O-rings or some type of a toggle switch panel or something. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. He maybe made a particular part that he thought was going to go on the ship. And if you notice, they all take off. Just remember back. Okay, so when they were pushing this NASA stuff and this going to the moon stuff, right? And it was a big race for Russia and all these people. I think they sent up a monkey in a spaceship or something. I don't know what happened. But anyway, it was like, who's going to get to the moon first? So, which nobody ever did. Now India claims they went to the moon. Yeah, okay. But anyway, and somehow the guys walking on the moon had a cameraman. Did you notice that? Somehow somebody was taking the videos of the two guys who went. Anyway, it was weird. Anyway, but yeah, so anyway, in order to push this whole spaceship stuff in the 60s, they started coming out with these TV shows. Lost in Space, remember that show, Lost in Space? Hey, Danger Will Robbins, or whatever. The robot that went on the spaceship and he smuggled them aboard and threw the thing off course anyway. So they had that show with him, and then they had all these shows, but they also had I Dream of Jeannie, and I Dream of Jeannie was supposedly married to Master. Remember her master was I forgot his name, but anyway, she lived in the little genie bottle, and I don't know, when she came out, she would be that was her husband or whatever. He worked at NASA, right, at Cocoa Beach, right, and sometimes she'd show up at his work and cause all kinds of trouble. Anyway, but if you look there where they launched NASA off, right, if you look on the map down in Florida where they launch these spaceships, right, they launch it up, and they cut when the thing starts arcing. Okay, now the spaceship will go up. You watch. Every one they go up, and then they start to arch and level off. Right, that's where they cut the video. You'll never see the thing go all the way up. All right, they'll cut off, and guess where? So if you just imagine, spaceship goes up like it does, and if you could see it, it would eventually come down and plunk right in the water. Guess where guess where those spaceships are landing? Guess where all of these spaceships since the 60s, guess where they end up? Okay, so if they didn't go to the moon, they end up plunking in the water when nobody's looking, when they cut the camera. Guess what that bed of water is called? The Bermuda Triangle. And that's why they scared the hell out of people. Don't go snooping around that Bermuda Triangle. Oh no, you'll probably get aliens will adopt you or something. So people go missing all the time in the Bermuda Triangle, not because of anything, but I'm going to tell you, it's because they don't want you snooping around there. Because if you go scuba diving down there, you're probably going to see all these rockets at the bottom. Yeah. So anyway, so look where they shoot that missile, where they shoot the rockets off. Look where the Bermuda Triangle is. That's where they land. That's why I tell. Oh, don't go there. Oh no, don't go nowhere near there. And if you do anyway, you might not be seen again. Mhm. So it's like Area 51. They scare the hell out of you. Just stay away from it. They make you decide not to go anywhere near that place. uh, you used to watch it go. Uh, you watched it, yeah. Well, you're right. You saw it on TV though. Television. hmm Boy, we know about that, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was 6 years older, so I took my mom's genie bottle, rubbed it, and rubbed it. I got some, and no genie came out. Yeah, they actually had liquor bottles shaped like a genie bottle, and they had the glass stopper because I've emptied out houses from the 70s, stuck in the 70s, and I've had a lot of those. But it looked like the I Dream a Genie bottle. They used to like take the stopper off and fill it up with like bourbon or whiskey or whatever, and have it at a bar, right? At their people had home bars back in the 70s. A lot of them houses that the people are dying off, they still have their the thing downstairs. Yeah, third grade. Yeah. So do I believe in aliens? Not really. No, I believe that there are like spiritual things, but no, absolutely. Nobody's coming from another planet. In fact, there'll probably be a fake alien invasion at some point. They're going to fake it. Now they got everybody all revved up and believing it. And then they got the Space Force. I think, is it Space Force? Trump opened a new branch of the military. I think it's called Space Force. So now there's rockets to go after aliens. Like, wait a minute. 20 years ago, you said everybody should go in a mental hospital if they believe in aliens. But now there are aliens so much that we need a military form. Which is it? In your friend's yard? I was in high school walking past the library and I watched it. You did? Did you ever see the rocket go all the way up and keep going, or did it plunk down in the Bermuda Triangle? They lived in Merritt Island. It was launched pretty close. I don't know. Yes, I think it was a liquor bottle. I'm sure if I drank, she would come. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. They had them clear bottles. So you would take your bottle of booze and pour it into the pretty nice, usually it was cut crystal or something. I mean, clear cut crystal. It was nuts for it. And then I watched that. Yeah. Yeah. It's careful what you watch on TV because you guys, a lot of it is Hollywood, maybe Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? A Hollywood production. Uh, so spirits, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's anything, I don't know. But no, I don't think aliens. No, I definitely don't believe anybody's coming from another planet. Nope, not at all. I mean, I think the only like malevolent things are maybe dark spirits or something like that. But that's not really alien. You know what I mean? No, I don't believe anybody's coming on a spaceship from another planet. Absolutely not. Now, if you believe in the Bible, it wouldn't be possible because in the Bible describes a flat Earth. In the Bible, it says God created heaven and the earth, and He made the earth God's footstool, and it's shaped like a footstool. In the Bible, it says that the earth is basically like a pizza with a crust on it, right? and it doesn't say it's round or square. I don't think it says it's round or square, but it does say that it's fixed and it's firm and immovable, and it sits on 4 pillars. And all right, so I'll pull it up right now if you want to see it. I'll show you this is what the Bible describes. And so people that are in the flat Earth movement, they're describing the biblical flat Earth thing. So what it is, it looks like a footstool. So it's got 4 legs on it. It sits on 4 pillars, and it's fixed, firm, and immovable. So it doesn't spin, it doesn't move. Because I do not believe that we're spinning. That's for damn sure. No way in hell are we spinning. And we happen to be, 666 miles an hour, 666. Oh, that's it. All right, so here, I'll show you the biblical flat Earth. And then there's a firmament over the top, okay? It's molten glass, and it's a cover. It's a bubble, like a half a bubble. Like in The Simpsons, remember they had that bubble over there? That was kind of mocking that. But anyway, so there's so it's like a footstool. So it's 4 legs, and it sits, there's foundation, sits on the 4 legs, 4 pillars, and then there's a glass molten firmament. They call it the firmament. And so everything is inside of there. Here, biblical flat Earth. So I'll show you what it looks like. Oops, screw that up. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Wait, I lost my comment there. Hold on a second. All right, so NASA gets $2 billion a month. $2 billion a month from the government for this bullcrap. So yeah, would you lie for $2 billion a month, $24 billion a year? And the only ones that have to lie are the ones that are running the place, not the people that work there. It's just like if you like a Walmart store. The employees don't know what the management is doing. They don't know what the owners are doing. The employees are just doing their job, So here you go. I'm going to show you real quick. But here is the biblical flat Earth. It's got the sun and the moon. All right, the earth, and then there's underwater. There's a glass firmament, and God's above that, and He uses it as a pillar. And I'll show you. Let's see. I'm going to show you real quick. Biblical Earth. And some people think it's like this. It almost looks like a roulette wheel, right? Like a roulette wheel. So some think it's like this. And then look, it also says that there's an angel standing on all 4 corners, the north, south, east, and west. And they blow the wind in different directions. So this is where your wind is blowing from the 4 angels, east, west. They blow the wind. And so it could be like this, but it does have a glass firmament over the top. So, I mean, they give only so many details. So it's one of these. And then, but it's supposed to have legs on it, 4 pillars. Let's see. All right, biblical cosmology. But yeah, it's supposed to be on 4 pillars, like a footstool. And that says it's God's footstool. All right, where is it? Here. Right here. Oops. The earth's pillars. Right there. There's 4 pillars right there. Now, some people say it's like that, the 4 pillars. But it's a footstool God puts His feet up on. Yes. Oh, man. Whatever. Whatever floats your boat, Noah. All right, let me get my... So if the earth is not spinning, how do we get our days and nights? Okay, so I'll just show you. As a matter of fact, remember I told you my very good friends are elderly. They're in their 80s, and they're retired Air Force colonels. She's a full bird colonel, and he was a lieutenant colonel, and or I think so. Anyway, so he passed away, and that's where I got that frying pan on that the kitten broke, and I'm really upset about it. But anyway, he was an Air Force pilot. You know, he when he got out of the Air Force, but he became a colonel, and she was a flight nurse, and that's how they met. And they were in all the wars and all that stuff, right? But anyway, so he was an Air Force pilot for his career, an attorney also. So he is an attorney, and she's a nurse. And I've talked about her many times. But anyway, he was an Air Force pilot for many, many years. When I found out about flat Earth, and I asked him one time. I was over at their house, and we were watching the Twins game. I'll never forget it. And it was they have such a nice house, you guys, such luxury. But anyway, I said, Russ, let me ask you, is the Earth flat? And he looked at me and he started laughing. And I said, it is, isn't it? As a pilot, you would know, right? And I said, is it flat? And he laughs and he said, sometimes. Because the pilots aren't supposed to say anything, right? But I'm just going to tell you an example. So just picture the Earth spinning like a basketball, right? So if it's spinning, right? It's spinning, just say it's spinning right to left, right? So the Earth is spinning like a ball, right? Now, if you're in an airplane, number one, when you're flying the plane, you would have to continually push the nose of the airplane down, nose of the airplane down, nose of the airplane down, right? Right? I mean, if you're flying over a ball, you would have to constantly tip that nose down. And another thing, if you take off in California and you're going against the spin, it's going to be really fast to get to New York, right? But if you leave from New York and you're going with the spin, it's going to be a lot longer to try to catch up to California with going with the spin, right? It's like walking on an escalator, right? So it's going to take a way different time to go from East Coast to West Coast than it will to go back, right? Anyway, and listen, you know what a spirit level is? A spirit level is what the carpenters use, and it's a level, and it's got water in it. It's got a bubble. I use it all the time. I have one in my camper. I use it to hang pictures. You know what a spirit level is? It's a level with a bubble in water. Now, if I am in Australia and that doggone thing's upside down, what do you think that bubble's going to do? Or if I'm over on the side of the Earth, somehow hanging on, what do you think that bubble's going to do? You know what I mean? So, anyway. Kitten broke pan, put it in the cat. Yeah. A 1 pound kitten broke a cast iron frying pan. Broke the dang handle off. I'm so bummed out. And I looked to replace it. It's an old Griswold, and it's like $200 something to replace it. They don't even make them anymore. Best frying pan I ever had, and it's his. And when he died, his wife gave it to me, and I used it every day for years since he's died. And yeah, I'm sitting here and crash. I'm like, well, now what? And I look, and it's a damn frying pan. It was on the stove, and I had just washed it and put it on there. I always, after I wash the cast iron pan, I always dry it, and I put it on the heat and heat the whole thing, and then I put olive oil in it and rub it in real good, and then I hang it up. So I had done that. I had it olive oiled it, and the handle was sticking out, and the damn kitten must have walked on that handle all the way out like a diving board, and the damn thing tipped and fell onto my floor, broke the handle off. And it didn't just break the handle off, but it broke it off in a V shape all the way down to the bottom of the pan. Listen, if it just like the handle snapped off, I'd just keep going. But it broke it all the way down to the bottom of the pan. Pissed me off, actually. I'm like, I can't believe a 1 pound kitten just broke that frying pan. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, I was in that flat Earth community for many years, and the anti-flat. So I've been on both sides. I've watched both sides of the debate. The flat Earth people and the anti-flat Earth people. They call them globe tards. The globe tards and the flat earthers somehow hanging on. Yeah, somehow they're hanging on. They got these suction cup shoes that just keep them from, tipping over. I guess next car boot, I hope to find it. Yeah, right. A new pant. Yeah. So I was, yeah, science. Not all science is bad, but a lot of it's. Listen, it's paid for. Okay, researchers are paid, and who's ever paying the researchers, they already know what they want the outcome to be, right? Just like the medications, all that other stuff. Just like what was the guy's name? The guy that supposedly found Noah's Ark. Then he brought a ground penetrating radar, which was like outdated by like 30 years, and they laughed at him. And it proved absolutely nothing. They found out the guy wasn't even an archaeologist; he was a nurse. It's ridiculous. Oh, and guess what? I think what happened to him, Grace? Something happened. He had some revelation or something. God spoke to him or some shit. You have many conversations on flat Earth, but most from some that have never flown. Yeah. Yeah, and if you ever been in a plane, just look out the window. That's all you gotta do. All you gotta do. But if you're a pilot, and I knew it when I found out, I personally know somebody who has flown every kind of airplane, B-1 bombers, he flew them all right? I know who to ask, so I went over and asked my friend Russ. Russ, is the Earth flat? And he looked and he laughed. And listen, they get paid a lot of money. Okay, they don't want to lose their job. And there's been people who step on the plane, and if they can, they'll ask the pilot, "Hey, sometimes you can meet the pilot or whatever. I don't know. They'll do it on video. Hey, is the Earth flat?" And the guy's like, And sometimes they say, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. But yeah, they get paid a lot of money to keep their mouth shut. But anyway, so is that about it? Enough topics for tonight. Your head will be spinning unlike the ball Earth. Don't be a globetard. Had a little taste of honey. That's good. Anyway, what are you gonna do, right? Uh-oh. Tumbler number 1 with the straw is empty. Might be time to wrap it up or get more water. Why don't you? Yeah, you get it. I've flown 747 for 30 hours at a time to overseas. I was a kid, but not science. Yeah. Keep chatting. Well, I could. And you know I can. I just don't want to be hard on people that try to watch the replay. I'll go to 3 hours. How about that? 2:23 right now I'm at. 2 hours and 23 minutes. All right. All right, I could go. What do you want to chat about? Just pick a subject if I know about it. I don't like talking about something I don't know about. Something in my wheelhouse. Unless there's something you guys want to talk about. Pick something in your wheelhouse. Yep. Might have to re-up on my water. My ice water. Let's see how it's looking. Uh-oh. Ice ratio is not good. I think it's like 10%. Spirits? Hey, Kathy, I was just told by my father-in-law I'm going to hell for not going to church. Or for not giving him 10% of your income, which is also a lie. Because listen, next time your pastor tells you that you should, or preacher, or reverend, or priest, or whatever, They tell you should tithe 10% because the word tithe, T-I-T-H-E, means tenth, 1/10. BS. Ask them. Say, we're supposed to give 10% of our income. Okay, can you show us in the Bible where that is, sir? And see what they say. Tell them, ask them what page that's on that we're supposed to give it. They'll tell you what it is. It's BS. Back when the Israelites, had the 12 tribes, the tribe of the Levites, Levi, L-E-V-I. In fact, I have a shirt on right now. It says Levi's. Yeah, Levi's. I have a Levi shirt on right now. But the tribe of Levi, they were assigned to be the priest, the high priest, and they ran the tabernacle and temple and all that crap. So they weren't able to farm and do all this other stuff. They had enough to do. So the other 11 tribes had to give them each 1/10 of what they had, whether it be chickens or meat or vegetables or whatever, coal, olive oil, whatever. Each chip in a tent so they could survive. And they also I think they also got gypped out of the land. I don't think they could be landowners. I can't remember. I think they got ripped off of the land part too. But So anyway, that's where your 10th comes from. Okay, unless we got 12 tribes and anyway, next time Pastor tells you to tithe 10% of your income, just ask him where is that at. And why don't you show me? I'm not tired. I watch replays all day long, over and over. All right, cool. You know you can. I can. There's a church around here that say if you need money in the offering today, feel free to take what you need as they pass it. No judgment. Everyone has their eyes closed. Really? I've never heard of that, but that right there, that's godly. As long as somebody doesn't take advantage of it. But now that's, and listen, by the way, the Bible tells you to never tell people when you give, all right? Don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing, right? So when you give, Jesus says it, and I think it's Sermon on the Mount. Is it? I think it's Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5, 6, 7. I think it is in Matthew. But anyway, nonetheless, Jesus says, when you give, don't do it to receive the praises of men. Because if you get the praises of men, you've lost your reward in heaven. So you can pick. Do you want people to give you pats on the back? Or do you want God to give you the pat on the back? Because it's one or the other. You can't have it both. If you want to say, look, everybody, I gave this to somebody, it says you have received your reward already. All right, you got the pats on the back, the attaboys, and oh, good for you, you're so nice. All right, so Jesus says, so when you give in secret. All right. Now, I heard that somebody's bragging about how much they gave to the Whitakers. That right there is an example of what I'm talking about. They call it alms, okay, A-L-M-S. And when you do your alms, your good deeds, do them in secret so the Father sees. Don't do them in public where you get man's reward, okay? Plain and simple. And that's why you will always see people giving these, like at Christmas time. Wow, Anonymous gave $100. You'll see it on GoFundMe's. Wow, Anonymous gave $500. You think, well, wow, why wouldn't they get the credit for that? Because they've read the Bible and they believe that either you got to do it in secret, your good deeds. Because, like I just said, that's Jesus' words. All right, he said, do it in secret. Yes, give freely. That's right. Yep, and your Father which is in heaven sees your good deeds. That's what it says. Yep. But yeah, forget church, because I mean, here's what I think church is good for. I think church is good for fellowship. All right, church is good for people to get together with like-minded people to join together to fellowship, to well, as it says, to comfort and edify. To it's a fellowship. It's a get together, right? Like-minded people, you all believe in the same thing. There, my church, there was always food after church. There was they'd open up the kitchen and they'd have snacks and coffee and cakes and cookies and stuff. And anyway, so yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was good. But you're probably not going to learn in your whole entire life. You're not going to learn the Bible. You might learn a few things, but you're not going to hear about Noah's being naked and cursing his grandson. You're probably not going to learn about Lot, getting his 2 daughters knocked up and stuff like that. I'm just going to tell my father and I do attend church. Bible says church is community. That's right. Yes, church is. Here's what it says: when 2 or more are gathered in my name, there he is. Because in the Bible they go by 2 witnesses. When you have to always have 2 witnesses for something to be true. And so when you have 2 or more gathered in his name, there I am. It doesn't mean he's not there when there's only one person. But if so that's just fellowship. It doesn't matter. It could be in a church building, it could be in your house, you could be sitting on a park bench or on a bale of hay. It doesn't matter. Or walking down the road. I wish I could remember which Eric replay I was watching yesterday. I was laughing so hard I was slapping my hand on the arm of my chair. Well, that's good, Mary. I don't know. Eric replay, huh? Was it live stream or yes, give freely. Awards of men is not giving freely. That's a gift of self-absorbing. Exactly. Grace has it right there. So when you give something in public, right? Like there's people with videos, they're showing giving homeless person some food. I mean, that's great and everything, but what you're doing is you're seeking men's approval. That's what it says basically. You're seeking the approval of men rather than God. Yeah, and that's a gift of self-absorption. Yeah. It's ugly to boast about it. Yeah, it is. To boast about giving the Whitakers something, boast about giving anybody anything. Shouldn't boast about it. I'd rather be anonymous. Yep, and that's why people give anonymous is because, well, they must be Bible believers. Because, you know what I mean? Yeah. You gave to the Whitakers? Who gave to the Whitakers? Hold on a second. Caleb, I might have to let the dogs out. Are you serious? All right. They're going to go crazy and bark. So as soon as I stand up here, they're going to bark and go crazy. They're right behind me. They're going to lose their shit if I stand up and start letting them out. So I got to mute this and... Honey? I know. Just wait. Yeah, tell them you do. Tell them that you have regular fellowship. Because there ain't no comeback from that. There ain't no comeback from that. Yeah. So anyway, I might have to let the boys out. Did you see that video? Which one? I gave them and wasn't going to say it. I gave to them and wasn't going to say it. But here I have to. No, Florida, that's okay. Because that's a different situation. if you gave to somebody and you didn't tell anybody, but they took the money and stole and whatever, like they did, that's a different situation. Now you can say, hey, yeah, I was a victim of that. You know what I mean? You're not saying it to get praises of people. You're it's after the fact. You know what I mean? So when you gave to the Whitakers, did you go and tell everybody all over the place, hey, I gave the Whitakers? No, you probably didn't. But when that person misuses the funds and possibly committing a crime with that money, yeah, then it's okay to say, hey, I was a victim of that. Yeah. It's okay if you say that. I don't know, Susan, which video? I never tell anyone what I do or when. God knows my good deeds. That's right. And this is what it says. If, how does it go? It says something like, this is Jesus' words. If you give in public, the men will reward you, or people will reward you. But if you give in secret, your Father will reward you in secret. Something like that. Grace probably knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you give in public, if you give in public, basically you've gotten your reward. Okay, you got the pats on the back. You got the But if you give in secret, your Father will reward you in secret. People, that video given to the poor isn't the poor, right? And by the way, yeah, they are basically talking about the poor. Oh, thank you, Grace. What about the preacher that touch a head and people fall asleep? That's Creflo Dollar. No, you know who that is? It's Benny Hinn. Sounds like Benny Hill, but Benny Hinn. Pretty sure it was. And I saw his nephew in an interview saying what a phone he is. But I mean, it's real obvious. Is his name Benny Hinn? What he does, he takes off his suit jacket, his sport jacket, and he waves it in a circle, and he knocks the whole crowd over. It's killing me, man. A second. Benny Hinn, I think. Sounds like, Benny Hinn, ministry. Oh, yeah, it was it Benny Hinn, the one that swings the coat. He swings the coat, and the whole front row falls over. But you know what? Some of them preachers, though, like one preacher got sued a whole bunch of money. Okay, the Benny Hinn swing coat refers to a famous 1990s televangelist moment where the faith healer physically removed his suit jacket and swung it in a wide circle like a lasso. He then directed the moving fabric toward the people on the stage to knock them backwards, claiming to transmit the power and anointing of the Holy Spirit. That's so funny. And I don't know if he did it every time or just one time. But I know I gotta let my dog talk. There it is. It looks like he's done it more than once. There he is, swinging the coat. Swing. Oh, there he is. I don't know why it's doing that. It's zooming in. I think, yeah. Here he is. Here's a little bit older. When he got a little bit older. I don't know how many times he did it. Listen. These televangelists should be arrested, in my opinion. Somebody needs to put the cuffs on them or something. Okay, so some of them got in trouble because there would be so usually they got people in the crowd that work for them, and the people all of a sudden they get out of the wheelchair And all of a sudden they can walk. Oh, look, they can walk. I swung my jacket at them. They can walk. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if, but I will say this may possibly be his interpretation of Jesus when, where am I going with this? Okay, so one time Jesus walking down the road with his disciples, and this lady came up, and I think she was a Samaritan. All right, now Samaritans were kind of like Jews, but they didn't practice, so they're called dogs, right, by the Jewish people, because I think they're from the bloodline, but they weren't like practicing whatever. But they consider them as dogs, the Samaritans, right? And that's where they get the story of the Good Samaritan, because the Samaritan, that's the Good Samaritan story is a slap in the face. And I could tell you the Good Samaritan story, where that came from, but it was a slap in the face to the priest, because they're considered low, dirty dogs, right? Not clean, you know what I mean? Anyway, but okay, so one time Jesus was like walking with his disciples, and this lady came up, and she had an issue of blood for 13 years or something like that. She's been hemorrhaging for like 13 years or something like that. And anyway, so people were coming up to Jesus like that, and the lady said, oh, if I could just touch the hem of your fabric, I could be healed, right? So I don't know if this is like a spin-off from that, but the lady, she touched the hem of his garment, and she was healed that day, something like that. So I don't know if this is like his interpretation of the touching the hem of the garment. Not sure. But the Samaritan woman, though, on the other hand, she came up and she said, hey, Jesus, my daughter's been sick for a long time, and she might die or something like that. She said, I think your daughter. Anyway, I think he called her a dog. Get away from me, you dog. Something like that. And she says, even the dogs eat the crumbs off the master's table. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. But the Samaritans back then were just, and actually, and you hear the story of Jesus meeting the woman at the well, right? So Jesus and his disciples, they come into this town, and they're hungry, they're thirsty. So the disciples go off to get something to eat, right? And Jesus goes to the well to get some water. And so Jesus is sitting at the well. Now, this is the story of the woman at the well, if you ever heard of that. So Jesus, and I think it's in the Gospel of John, but I can't remember. I think it is. I'm almost sure it's in the Gospel of John, because the 4 Gospels are different, and this sounds like a John Gospel story. But anyway, so Jesus goes to the well to get some water, and the Samaritan woman comes up. And of course, this is from Samaria, right? But the Samaritan woman comes up, and Jesus, and she's lowering the bucket down, because it was the woman's job to go to the well each day and grab the water, right? It was the woman's job. So the women were coming and going at the well all day, basically, getting the buckets of water. So the woman comes, the Samaritan woman comes, and she, lowers the bucket into the well, and she gets, and I think it's Jacob's well, I think that was actually Jacob's well. But anyway, she lowers the bucket in the water, and Jesus said, hey, how about I get some of that water? Or something like that. And the Samaritan lady said, oh, you guys can't do that, because, Jewish people saw the Samaritans as unclean, dogs, you know what I mean? And she's like, oh, you can't be doing that. And he goes, yeah, well, I can. And something like that. But anyway, he said, what if I told you that I could give you water and you'll never be thirsty again. Because remember, they live in the desert. Water is a matter of life or death. A lot of people died from having no water. In fact, that's what the well stories were when they were digging the wells, right? Jacob's well and all that stuff. But anyway, so they're at this well, and he's like, um, she knows that um, he's not supposed to drink out of the same cup as her, right? So when he asks her for a sip of water out of her cup, she's like, "What are you talking about? You guys can't drink off of a cup I'm drinking off of it." And he's like, "What if I told you if I could give you water, you'll never be thirsty again?" And she says, "Oh, tell me about this water." And anyway, so Jesus ends up um, winning the lady over and tells her about basically the gospel, right? And then his buddies come back and they're like, "Hey, what's going on, Jesus? Because why are you talking to this woman and why are you talking to a Samaritan or whatever?" Well, anyway, they got along so good that she brought him back to her house, and Jesus stayed, I think, 3 or 4 days there with the Samaritans. So anyway, so when you hear about the Samaritans, those were the dirty dogs that the Jewish people didn't like. And in fact, the story of the Good Samaritan, and I think, can't remember that exactly what it is, but the story of the Good Samaritan comes where they're basically telling you how horrible the priests are and the people. So get this. So Jesus actually is warning people. Jesus warned people 2,000 years ago about the people running the churches. Okay, the people. That's what that's why he went in and tore up the temple, which led to his death. All right, that's why they put him to death for insurrection against the government. So anyway, so the story of, so it's been going on for thousands of years. The people who run the churches have a lot of times been crooks, money grubbing crooks. And so that's what Jesus is trying to tell people, that the people running the temple, the Pharisees and, the priests and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all that, they're crooked. They're money grabbers. And so when Jesus came in and tore up the temple, he knew he's going to get put to death for it, because that's a capital offense to do that. And so when Jesus went into the temple, he tore the place up. He turned over the bankers' tables, the money changers, knocked over all the money. He knocked over the cages and let the animals out, and just tore the place up. Then he grabbed a whip. He made a homemade whip and started whipping people. Anyway, then they took off before the cops came. And anyway, they ended up finding him, and they ended. He went to trial and he got put to death. But anyway, so so Jesus, if somebody tells you should be in a church, why don't you tell them what was Jesus' message? What was the message Jesus got put to death for? Stay out of the damn churches. You know what he said? You've made my Father's house a den of thieves, a den of shredders. I mean, animals that rip people apart. That's what they were doing. They were slaughtering animals. They were making millions and millions of dollars. You know what I mean? But anyway, so the story of the Good Samaritan goes even way, 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 way more back. So, and I think it was Jesus telling I can't remember who was telling the story, but so the Good Samaritan story comes where, so people had to make like a trek, right? People came from all over to go into the temple. And when you go into the temple, you have to come from miles away. Who knows? Might be a day's walk or a week's walk. But people go to the temple, and there's a path. There's a trail that goes, you can look this up, but there's a trail that goes, and it's very, very dangerous. It'd go between valleys and through crevices and rocks. It was a scary trail that a lot of people got robbed and killed. So what they would do is they would hide behind a rock, and then when you came, they would jump out and rob you and beat you to death and take everything. So it was highway robbery. That's where that term comes from. So anyway, so the people would have to go up to the temple, and then when they get up to Jerusalem, they would have to be purified. Then they'd go into the temple, and they'd do their thing, and then they'd come out, and they'd have to walk all the way back down that same trail, right? So the story of the Good Samaritan was there's a there's, and I can't remember who the first to it. You could look this up, but the first one's like a priest, right? So the priest goes up. He's going up to the temple. He's on his way up, and either on the way up or on the way back, I can't remember. But he sees this guy on the side of the road, and the guy's beaten bloody, and he's not moving. And the priest just ignores him and goes on his way. And then the next person comes, and he's like another church worker, right? He's another supposedly holy guy. And he goes and he sees the guy beaten up, and he's just like, whatever. And he just passes on by. He doesn't care. And then the third person comes along. Now, this was a Samaritan, all right? The people are supposed to be dirty dogs, right? The ones that aren't holy, right? So the Samaritan walking on that trail, and he sees this guy beaten up and robbed and everything, and he goes, oh my goodness, and goes over there, and he helps the guy, and he nurses him back to gets him up, and anyway he fixes the guy up, right, and saves his life. And so this moral of that story is to show you that these people walking around all holy and shit are usually not usually, I can't say that, but a lot of to just watch out for them, because the holier people act, the more you gotta watch out for them. These were leaders of the church. They're holy rollers, right? But they both walked by the man that was beaten, and it took a Samaritan, and that's where you get the story of the Good Samaritan, and in case you ever know. So there's that. And that brings me up to 3 hours, ain't it? I'm sorry, 2:51. All right. I'm going to wrap it up at 3 hours. Anyway, so that's where you get your Good Samaritan story from. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up myself in a few minutes here. 9 more minutes. Good night to Not My Monkey. Been a long day. Coming to catch the rest. Yeah, I'll be off here in just a minute anyway. Yeah, Tammy and Jimmy. Yeah, Tammy, Faye, and Jimmy. They're bakers. That was the bakers. Yeah. I remember very vividly seeing the footage of Jim Baker hiding behind that couch, crying when the feds came to get him. He was bawling his eyes out, and he was hiding behind the couch, and the feds got him. I'm tagged in it. My notifications? Okay. Ernst again, you're healed, brother. Bam, knocks. Yeah. You like that swinging coat? And these people are the worst. I mean, look at them. Creflo Dollar. Yeah, Creflo Dollar. Here's another one. Here, I'll look that one up. Creflo Dollar is the one who shuffles his feet. So people all throw dollar bills and money at his feet on the stage. And then he goes and he does a dance and he shuffles his feet through the dollars. Yeah, his name is literally Creflo Dollar. He's a preacher. Let's see. We'll say the money shuffle. How about that? Creflo Dollar money shuffle. Oh, man. So yeah, if somebody's telling you need to go to church, maybe they need to crack their Bible open, because that's the last thing Jesus did, is warn you, stay out of them churches. They're den of thieves. Well, you know what though? I bet your church doesn't tell you that story too often, if ever. Wow, thank you for the thumbs up. I just noticed. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So let's see the what was that? Oh dang, it didn't even come up. Anyway, I'll pull that up and then I'll sign off here. Yeah, so that is the why am I Yeah, here we go. Creflo, dollar. I mean, they're just endless. There's so many of them that, I mean, I don't know. And how about that Marjorie Joyner? Marjorie, or what was his name? It was a guy. It was a guy, and yeah, and I think Creflo Dollar might have gotten some trouble too about something. But here he is famous, shuffling through all the money on the stage, and he's saying, "Thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, and Lord, thank you," as he's doing the shuffle through all the dollars and stuff. Anyway, yeah, yep. If you're gonna listen to Jesus, you're gonna stay the hell out of the churches. I mean, he got put to death for that message, and people don't even know about it. Like, hello. Reverend Bullwinkle. Alrighty, guys. Hope everyone has a great night, and hope your day's one. You too, Florida. Good night, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Reverend Bullwinkle. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, with that, I think I'll wrap it up. Imagine getting whacked by the jacket. Yeah. Well, if you're blessed, you are gonna get slapped with that jacket. Yeah, yeah. Hi-yo, yeah. Yep. Anyway, all right. So there's that. So hopefully people have learned something new, something borrowed and something blue. And anyway, anything else before I sign off? I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. Excuse me. But yeah, I might as well sign off and take my dogs outside. Oh, there's one of the spiders. But it's a weird looking little capsule looking thing. Alright, so yeah, I will sign off. Yeah, so I want to thank everybody for being here. And I want to thank you for the 5 memberships. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for listening and joining us. And if you're listening on the replay, I want to thank you for listening on the replay. Let's see. And let's see, I will put the outro song on. Let's see. All right. Pull up the statement by Nefex. This is a copyright-free song. Yeah, good night to you guys. Good night to everybody. And thank you also, moderators, for moderating tonight. Appreciate it. A second. Yeah, and if you're listening on the replay, if you have any questions or anything about that, you can put it in the chat. So let me just pull up. Wait a second. I'm gonna sign this out and sign this out. Let me shut some things down before I leave here. Okay. Now play it on my phone. All right. Oops. Yeah, and yes, and thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate it. was played on my phone here because my computer is exhausted and the squirrels have stopped running on it, so it's not going to play. That is my signal to dip out. Yeah. Good night, everybody. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do, so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move, so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patent it. Being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, missing mass, getting slow, speeding fast, I can roast, I get gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words you can say the fact. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last. Yeah. Now that I'm through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. You make a statement, I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't live the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams of modestness. You're not here to save the day, that's what you're here to take away. I can play a million mind games, but it's not something not illogical, something not is topical. Put it on and watch it go. It's not unstoppable. You're irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage when they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off, knowing I gotta make it. I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind ain't you know they take it. I'm chasing the dream that I never separate. Is a naked, modern kingdom. Take it. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. You make a statement, I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. You make a statement, I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Peace out.